organization known as CASSOA is actually the East African Community Civil Aviation Safety and Security Oversight Agency, which was formed in 2007 when the Council of Ministers of the East African Community signed the protocol to put it into effect. Before the CASSOA was came into force, there had been efforts amongst the East African Community states, namely Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, to cooperate in aviation matters. And in 2004, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania entered into a memorandum of understanding to ensure cooperation in various aviation agencies within the region. So, springing from that, the leadership in aviation came with an idea that stemmed from a resolution which was made in Montreal, ICAO, in the 35th session of ICAO, to encourage partnership in regional oversight agencies so that such agencies can enable individual states meet ICAO standards and recommended practices. So it's been a long history, and right now CASSOA is running, is based in Entebbe. Initially it was in Arusha, but early last year in April it moved to Entebbe.
The issue of expanding, we had big ideas about expanding it, and of course we facilitated the entry of both Rwanda and Burundi. Before we used to invite them to participate as observers initially, and then they came on board, and I want to believe by now all the legal requirements are in place for them to as fully participating members.
The idea of CASSOA started in 1997, 1998, and this came out of a project which was known as the Safe Skies for Africa, which the former President Bill Clinton promoted on the African continent in order to make aviation safe. Once that project came into force, East African partner states cooperated with the U.S. Department of Transportation to form an agency that would work together within the governments of the East African states to ensure that there is coordination and unified approach to aviation safety and security.
The idea was really to try and put together the resources within the region and use them across border for safety oversight. And one of the major contributory factors was the fact that we had a very stable environment in all the three countries. The CEOs remained in office for all that period of the mooting of the idea of putting up a safety oversight agency. Later on, of course, we agreed to include security, but initially it was safety oversight.
So CASSOA, subsequently the process went on under the East African Community, and within the East African Community processes, we developed a treaty which was approved by we developed not a treaty. Under that treaty, we developed a protocol for the establishment of the East African Community. And that protocol was signed by the ministers during the meeting of the Council of Ministers in 2007 April. After that, then the council appointed, they went on a process to look for the people who are going to run for that, and I was honored to be given the first opportunity to operationalize that institution. So that is how East African Community Civil Aviation Safety and Security Oversight Agency came into being. The role of CASSOA is mainly to ensure that our regulatory system do comply with the international standards, and that our aviation industry are subjected to those harmonized requirements. That is, when you are operating or you are requesting to have an operating license in Uganda or in Kenya or in Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, you will be subject to the same conditions requirement for operation. So that is the main role of CASSOA. The second role is to ensure that, having those regulations is one thing, but complying to those regulations is another thing. So the second thing was to ensure that the partner states who under the Chicago Conventions are obliged to implement those regulations do implement the regulations uniformly. So the role of CASSOA was to assist the partner states in implementing, in ensuring that those regulations are implemented consistently. And of course, the third one is that this is a regional organization which really looks at the issues of civil aviation that they are operating within, the requirements of the regional requirements which are put up under the East African community, because this is an institution of the community. So those are the major roles of CASSOA.
So once we strengthen that and we achieve our objectives as CASSOA, and we have a safe and secure aviation industry through oversight systems, then the impact is that we are going to have a safer and secure air transport, which is going to attract more tourism, which is going to have an expansion in the aviation industry, and in a nutshell, you're going to have increased economy and many other things that go with a very good aviation industry. And I think it has a very big positive impact in the aviation industry.
Since its inception in 2007, CASSOA has done a tremendous job. First, we have accomplished the harmonization and amendment of civil aviation regulations in East Africa. And secondly, we have also formulated technical guidance materials for use by professional aircraft inspectors to ensure that they are following well laid out, well-written guidance material when they are carrying out their certification or recertification exercise in the sub-region and even beyond. So what I can say is that CASSOA is being able to put in place the instruments that can enable us to carry out safety oversight programs with the confidence that is expected from us by ICAO. The main challenge that I see is the securing sustainable financial base. At the moment, CASSOA relies on contributions from aviation agencies in partner states, the civil aviation authorities, and also some contribution from the East African community.
The other challenge that we have is the recruitment of technical personnel. The regions lacks a lot adequately qualified and trained personnel. So to recruit people to work in the technical department is another challenge. The third challenge that I would think we are facing as CASSOA is the dynamism of the industry compared to what the civil aviation authorities are having in the role of safety oversight. The industry is moving very fast, and the civil aviation authorities do not have adequate staffing by themselves. So we have a challenge in that area. There's qualified staff at the CAA levels, to have people who are qualified, who can do the role of safety oversight, to be able to meet the country, the contracting state's obligation in safety and security oversight.
In all the 5 partner states, when I was leaving, they were all autonomous authorities operating and kind of an autonomous away from the government bureaucracy. But the challenges which are facing those autonomous civil aviation are almost similar, and those are definitely had an impact on the CASSOA. One is that all of them being autonomous, they depend on revenues generated from the aviation activities within with their territories, and those some of them, of course, are varying. The aviation activities are very low. And the revenues generated from that are not sufficient to cater for the requirement of the safety oversight, safety and security oversight.
CASSOA in the next 5 years, it should be I can see us moving much ahead in the role of coordinating the safety oversight functions in the partner states. We also have put in place the establishment of a Center for Aviation Medicine, which should be operational in Nairobi within the next 5 years. We also are going to have harmonized examination system within the next operational within the next 1 year. So within 5 years, it should be stronger. And then, in the nutshell, I will see a stronger CASSOA with a much bigger role of coordinating and assisting the partner states in meeting their obligations, the ICAO standards and recommended practices.
I am very optimistic that CASSOA in the next 5 years will have made tremendous achievements, especially in the field of creating the critical mass of technical personnel who will have capacities to carry out inspections and recertification of aircraft and airport systems, so that we do not have to depend entirely on the personnel from ICAO to do most of our work. Secondly, I see that the region is likely to go beyond establishment of CASSOA, and we go to even establishment of another agency known as the Search and Rescue Coordination Agency and the Upper Area Information Region, which, once they are established and CASSOA is in place, definitely East Africa will be ahead of most of the regions on the African continent.
CASSOA, in the next 10 years, I think they needed to look at the establishment protocol and look at the mandate they have given it, so that that mandate will be actually in line with the objectives of the East African community, as well as the need for the aviation industry to be able to support the integration process within the community, as well as to be able to also compete, not only within, because competition within is the health of everyone, but also our industry to be able to compete with the international aviation industry.
My message would be to the traveling public, to the administrators, to the authorities, the state authorities, to support CASSOA in as much as possible, to see that our objectives of coordinating, assisting, and supporting the sharing system is given the support that it deserves, especially in the areas of funding, to be able to meet our planned activities, and also to give us support in publicizing, because so many people do not know about our role in the region. So we want to see if any support that is given in publicizing our activities and making sure that the traveling public gets to know what we do for them. That would be a good message for us as CASSOA, and we look forward to seeing CASSOA being known all over the East African region and beyond in the next 5 years, or even shorter.